What first turned you on? What first made you suspicious that something wasn't right, something was worth researching?
Sure. So to give a little bit of the background, in Rhode Island, we tried to pass an assault weapons ban last year. After Newtown, we felt that in a state that favored it by a margin 10 points larger than we voted for Barack Obama, it should be doable. Of course, the political situation in Rhode Island is complicated given that although the state is controlled by Democrats, they're very conservative Democrats, and we failed miserably at passing the assault weapons ban. The Speaker of the House, the President of the Senate, the House Majority Leader, and the Senate Majority Leader had all taken money from the NRA, even though they were Democrats. And when we were thinking about why it was that we failed so miserably at passing this legislation, those contributions and the money were a big part of it. So we wondered how it was that this group, and we never seen an NRA fundraiser in Rhode Island, we never heard about one, we wondered how they were able to raise so much money. And they'd actually spent something like $160,000 in the past 10 years since the online system started reporting contributions. That's a ton of money. It's more money than almost any other PAC has spent. And yet we hadn't seen that. We hadn't seen them giving fundraisers. So we were really curious about how exactly they got their money. So I decided to look into their campaign finance report, see what was going on. I went online and I noticed that they didn't have any donors reported. And instead they reported that all of their contributions came in as, quote, aggregate contributions, which are contributions under $100 that you don't have to report. And I thought it was unlikely that that was actually what was going on.
Maybe on a certain level, the NRA wasn't even really trying to hide it. I mean, it was so transparently fishy. And I wonder if you agree with that. I mean, do you think this was part of a cover-up, or did they just think that nobody was looking?
So one of the things you realize in politics after you start, dealing with it on a daily basis is that everyone involved is human, and all sorts of things that you would imagine would happen, things that you would imagine people would check up on, things that you would imagine people would cross their T's and dot their I's on, they don't, because people are human and these sorts of things happen. I think you do tend to find on the right an aggressiveness about campaign finance that is a little bit unique, especially in recent years. You tend to find people who have gotten away with so much stuff, particularly with a very supportive Federal Elections Commission at the federal level that allows things like these social welfare groups to do political work, things that probably wouldn't be allowed under a literal reading of the law. They have a very supportive Supreme Court, and they get cocky. They start doing things that violate state law.
What are the prospects for gun reform in the future, especially now that the PAC has been shuttered?
So Democrats in Rhode Island favor an assault weapons ban by a staggeringly large margin, as you would expect. I think it's a margin of 86-9. There's no way that in reality anyone would ever face any liability in a Democratic primary, ever, and hardly ever in any general election. Because I believe that when we get rid of the fear, when people are actually listening to their constituents, not to the gun lobby, which can bring a ton of people, often from out of state, to get very angry and crowd the State House and flood them with calls and emails, when we actually get the voices of the people of Rhode Island coming through, and you have to do that through elections, when that happens, then we can carry a message, we can start breaking down that fear, and we can make real progress in the state.
Sam Bell, Director of the Progressive Democrats of Rhode Island and graduate student at Brown University. Thank you so much for talking with Brown Political Review.
Thank you.